Here are the 8 main factors that are keeping your child in stress mode, which affects their ability to learn. So I'm going to share with you the 8 main factors and the 5 core shifts that will help your child transition out of stress mode into learning mode. Defiance, oppositional, difficult, rigid, all those are labels that might be used for your child when they are in stress mode. You might call your child's name and it seems like they're not listening or they can't hear you. You might ask your child to do certain things and they're not participating, or they're not doing their homework, or they're not engaging, or simply they look withdrawn and they look like they are in their own world. These are all signs of a child in stress mode. And there is no surprise here when our children are able to take in and learn, because they are in sympathetic survival mode. And your child is dysregulated, even if they're not having outbursts and screaming all day long. They are still in stress mode during those times. They're not always in stress mode, but a huge part of the day, autistic kids and our sensitive kids are in stress mode. So the first thing we want to do as caregivers, teachers, therapists, parents, relatives, we want to help our children shift out of stress mode. And we can do, there's a lot we can do. So let's first talk about the 8 main factors that are keeping our kids in stress mode, and then we talk about the 5 core shifts. So if we talk about the main causes, the main factors, we're going to divide them between external factors and internal factors. They both equally important. So in terms of external factors, your child might have gone through some perceived trauma. So I say perceived trauma because not every child is going to experience trauma in the same way. But for a specific child, certain events can be traumatic. So if there was an emotional trauma, that can keep your child's nervous system dysregulated. The other piece is parents who are living through chronic stress without proper support and without a community that is actually nurturing and feels helpful to the parent, right? That can be also very dysregulating for the child, because as we know, the parents are the most important person in the child's life. And if that parent is not getting the support, the child is going to be dysregulated as well. Then the number 3 is the overuse of device that we have in our world today from a very early age. So that device is actually keeping our kids in a constant state of dysregulation. Number 4, this is not for all kids, but I see that maybe half of the families that I work with, they have this going on, which is too many demands that are being put on a child who's already dysregulated. When our children are experiencing high demands, what does that look like? That looks like a child whose schedule is fully packed from the minute they wake up to the minute they go to sleep. Every minute of the day is actually packed with either school activities, therapies, or there is somebody redirecting them and asking them to do things. So an overpacked schedule can also lead to dysregulation. So those are the main external factors. Now there are huge internal factors, things that are also keeping our children in a dysregulated state. So that could be high levels of toxicity. So children who have been exposed through birth or through the environment to a lot of toxins, those toxins build up, their detox system breaks down, and now they're not able to actually get rid of those toxins. And those toxins keep circulating and being reabsorbed in their body. That keeps our children in a huge state of dysregulation. And more I see this as one of the main causes of dysregulation for this young generation that we want to help. The other thing is nutrient deficiencies. So our autistic kids specifically, but also our sensitive kids, they have low levels of B vitamins, they're deficient in iron. Many of them, if not all of them, are deficient in sulfur, zinc, among other nutrients. They're essential for brain and body function. So when our kids don't have the proper nutrition, not because you're not feeding them, but because their body is not able to process that food, digest that food, and absorb that food, And in addition to that, they have high levels of toxicity. There is a gut and brain axis imbalance. So the gut, instead of providing nutrients, it actually continue providing toxins because the toxins are not leaving the body and is affecting the brain functions. Our gut and brain are deeply connected, and whatever is happening in our gut affects our brain, even when the person doesn't have digestive system symptoms. So we talked about toxicity, we talked about nutrient deficiency, gut-brain imbalance. Another aspect of gut-brain imbalance is our gut is the one that produces the neurotransmitter and hormones that help us do all the other functions in our body, including the neurotransmitters that are responsible for our feel good and that allow us to be in a regulated state, where you can see their mental and emotional challenges, but you start seeing a child whose body now is also suffering. Maybe a child who is lethargic and laying down on the floor, drooling, not engaging, stays up at night and then falls asleep during the day, right? That child is because their physical body is also affected at this point. The 5 core shifts that are going to allow your child to transition out of stress mode into learning mode. The first thing, we gotta start with the parents. Parents who have been in chronic stress and survival mode for way too long without a community and without the right emotional support, they're not going to be able to help their kids. So if we start with the parents by first helping them create a community that feels supportive and helpful to them, but also giving them tools so that they can navigate the ups and downs and the challenges of raising a child who is stressed, a child who's not sleeping, a child who is screaming, a child who's not toilet trained. When we give the parents the proper support, now they're able to continue to do the work that they're doing. Last, the 5th core shift that will allow your child to come out of stress mode into learning and healing mode is truly switching overcorrection with connection. So it's inviting a fun-based, play-based type of learning that will invite your child to want to participate in all the things that you want them to learn. For example, if I'm trying to teach a child who's struggling with math, and I keep on saying, okay, you got to sit down, you got to do this work, and you're not getting good grades, that child is going to feel constantly corrected and pressured. But if I can use, let's say that same child enjoys airplanes. So now we make 20 paper airplanes and we draw some math problems there. And now we create some games around that. That child is going to be much more likely to want to learn math because we're making it fun, we're making it compassionate, and we're using the connection we have to teach more the skills that we want. I want to tell you guys the story about Petra. When Petra's parents came to work with me, Petra was 6 years old and she had 2 diagnoses. She had an autism diagnosis, but she also had another diagnosis that is PDA, which is pathological demand avoidance. So Petra, as her dad would describe her, most of what she says was no. So whenever asked to do anything, she would just scream really loud, no! And then she would run away and try to escape from whatever activity the adults were trying to get her to do. She was this bright, sparkly girl that I love her. Like, she had so much passion in her. And she liked to climb on trees, and she would fall down. She would run into walls, and it's like she would fall down laughing as if nothing hurt her. And she was what you might call a tough cookie, right? So when the parents came to work with me, her dad first asked me, how can we discipline Petra? I'm coming to you because I want help with the behavioral side of things, right? And so we started with the external factors because that's where the dad wanted to start. But I let him know there are external factors we're going to be addressing in terms of helping Petra, but there are also internal factors, which are huge, are going to equally help her be more regulated. So we started with the dad because the dad was sad, he was also frustrated, and at times he was angry. So I really helped him, and we talked about emotional regulation skills. And also I gave him perspectives to understand that what was happening for Petra wasn't defiance, she wasn't oppositional, she was actually in survival mode. And that really helped shift the way the dad viewed Petra, which then helped him be able to help her. So we started with that. Then we help Petra with self-regulating skills. So things that she could do, like bouncing on the trampoline. Swings was a huge thing for her. They sometimes would go to the park and run as well. They had this big beanbag that they would roll up Petra on it and then squeeze her. And they gave her tools when she was feeling like her energy was too much and maybe she was seeing red and things like that. She had skills to help herself ground herself and regulate herself. Running outside was a big thing. Then we talk about the internal factors, because Petra was mostly eating food-bought chicken nuggets. They were gluten-free, but they were bought at a store. She was having a ton of fruit, and that was pretty much her diet. So we started with a little bit at a time, but we started talking about nutrition, and we started giving her the foods that would actually be healing and that would provide the nutrients that she needed. And we started introducing those foods, and then we start slowly changing the foods that weren't helping her gut and her brain for foods that were very nurturing and very healing. And with that, we were also able to address detox protocols. And now Petra is still a very, very passionate, still highly energetic girl, but she has the self-regulating skills. The family has co-regulating skills, and she's sleeping better. Her focus and attention is really there. I would say now she's 7.5, and I would say now Petra can probably attend to 20 to 25 minutes at a time. So she's able to actually learn so many different things. She became toilet trained. She's sleeping through the night. There's so much going on for this family, and I'm so excited. This is also possible for your family. So when we address the 5 core shifts and we look at the 8 main causes that might be keeping your child in stress mode, we're really able to shift things, not just for your child, but for your whole family. So I invite you to come and participate in Intentional Parenting for Sensitive Kids course, which is a course where we actually dive really deep talking about all those concepts, and specifically the 5 main shifts that help our child transition out of stress mode into healing mode. And I would love to read to you a letter that I actually got from a dad from last year when he participated in the Intentional Parenting for Sensitive Kids course. So he was the only dad in that group, and he was amazing. A deeply loving human being, so dedicated to his family. And this is what he wrote. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone, especially Camilla and all the dedicated mothers who work tirelessly every day for their children. The knowledge I've gained in this course has helped me recognize my own weaknesses and impatience without judgment. It has encouraged me to embrace a more loving and generous approach towards my family, particularly my autistic child. I've let go of many anxieties and rigid behavior that only created discomfort. Now I find joy in everyday moments, regardless of the messiness of life. I'm learning to prioritize what truly matters. Thank you for your support. For the fathers out there who aren't present yet in your family's life, I encourage you to become actively involved in parenting your special child, understanding the invaluable gems you have at home. I love this. I love this because both with Petra and with this other dad, they were able to create a relationship with their kids that they wouldn't have done if they continued to view their kids as defiant, difficult, oppositional, problem, whatever the labels that are used for their kids. When we don't understand, they action stress mode. So I would love to extend an invitation to you so that you can come and participate in this course too, so that your relationship with your child can become more nurturing, richer, more fun, and that you can also help your child transition out of stress mode.